Guess what? It's gonna be May. Hey everybody, what's up? Yes, my hair looks crazy today. It's for a bit. We'll get there eventually. We need it like this because I couldn't do it during the bumper, but just stick with me. Hi, hello, good morning. My name is Andrew Hockrattle, and I'm super excited to have you here today. It is the last day of our daily creative challenge. We are going to be having a great time today. We're talking about probably my favorite designer and probably my favorite era. Again, this is for that. So we'll get there eventually, but I want to tell you a little bit about the challenges. If you are watching on the replay, creative replay, hello future people, thanks for sticking with us. This is the last day, but I want to tell you how you can get involved. The first is going right here, bit.ly/AI Discord. That's where you can post your work, and we're actually going to be looking at another place where you can post your work at the end of the stream today. And yes, absolutely. And hello, Shabbat Shalom. Hello, Aran. Nice to see you here in the chat. So a lot of you have been posting in Discord. Great job. These posters were super funky and psychedelic yesterday. I had a great time looking at those and tossed y'all some feedback. We'll be doing some more today as well. Now, our lesson today... We'll get there. We'll get there. We have a lot of announcements, but we're going to push them to the end. I don't think that we have anything else to talk about other than the website that you need to go to get your source files. And that is behance.net/challenge/illustrator. It's where our source file is. And thank you, Cody, for dropping that in there. And you can scroll down and get the source file for today, which is just our magazine spread. We are doing this in Illustrator today. You can also do this in InDesign, which I will talk about a little bit later. Today is a double journalism day. Just know that. That's my little hint for you. All right, let's go ahead and hop into our lesson. We are getting that call from Wade. We should have done a call with Cody Bear as well. Just switch it up. But sorry, Cody. Hello. I do hear my phone ringing again. Thank you, Z. Hello. Hello.
Hey, Andrew, I know you're streaming and everything, but I just wanted to check and make sure that everything is ready for my visit.
Yeah. It's next week, right?
No, that's tomorrow.
Oh, it's happening tomorrow.
Yeah.
I gotta go. Well, what's up, my party people? If you haven't figured out already, we are back in the 90s. We've been transported through time into the 90s, my favorite era. We've got the denim, we've got denim on denim, and just looking so slick. We got the faux hawk. I'm just covered in Axe body spray. We are here in the 90s in probably my favorite era. So we're going to be looking at my favorite designer today. His name is David Carson. And David Carson was an art director at Raygun Magazine, also topographer. He kind of does stuff now, but he's like a surfer now. But he does have a masterclass out there as well if you want to learn it directly from him. But today we are going to be talking about kind of a style that he has pioneered, that 90s grunge style. And he is someone who always said to not mistake readability for legibility. So legibility is kind of if it is legible, right? If you can kind of see it, if it's technically right to read. But sometimes that challenges readability, right? We can really push something so that it's still readable, but it's not necessarily legible. So we're going to go ahead and I should have put on some eyeliner. That's what I should have done. Next time we end up transporting through time into the 90s. I don't know what I'm talking about. So let's go ahead and hop into our challenge. Wrong screen. There we go. And let's talk a little bit about David Carson and look at some inspiration. So David Carson, again, art director at Raygun Magazine, and really just threw the kitchen sink at everything. He was someone that broke the grids, that tried new things, and got really crazy with some of his type. So today we're going to be showing you how to lay out type and how to do a magazine spread. And we're going to be doing blend mode. We're going to be doing texture. We're going to be getting all kinds of crazy today and try to go kind of as fast as we can. So let's go ahead and jump in. We have a ton of things to cover today. So try to stick along. If not, you can always watch the replay at behance.net/challenge/illustrator or tune in for the creative replay in 2 weeks. So let's go ahead and start off here. And the first thing that I want to talk about is area type versus point type. So area type is, we're going to grab the type tool over here, just hit T. And area type is when you click and drag out an area, right? When you click and drag out a box, it is going to fill that box with type. So that is area type. Now, point type is when you use the type tool right here, and instead of clicking and dragging, we just click. So watch this. We click, and it's just going to give us one line. And you can see that point type is starting at a point. You can see that point right there. It is starting at a point and then continuing to the right. You can change the alignment to continue to the left or the right, either way. So those are the two kinds of type. We also could do type on a path. We also could do area type. And again, I don't want to show you this, but I'm going to. Area type is if you grab the type tool and you just click on a shape, it is going to fill inside that shape with type. We don't care about that right now. We might. I don't know. We'll see. I'm going to cough. Hold on. And we're back. All right, so what we're going to do today is we are going to start laying out a little bit of a magazine, and what magazine is complete without a story. So we want to hop in there, and we're actually just going to fill up this page right off the bat, and that way we have something to work with. And we're going to grab our type panel. We can go to Window and turn on Type, and then go over to Character, or you can just hit Control T or Command T, way easier. And we're going to set up our font to start out with. Now, when you're doing a lot of copy, we're going to pay attention to hierarchy. And we're going to start here with the body copy. And body copy is the lowest level of hierarchy, right? The smallest type and the most type that will be on a page. You almost always want that to be a serif because your eyes will track along with those serifs, and it makes it a lot easier to read. So we're just going to use Baskerville URW right here. It is an Adobe font, so you can follow along and get that with me as well. We're going to set the size to maybe 20, and 20 is really, really large for a magazine, but we're going to work with it today. And so we have our settings set. And the reason we did this without selecting any type is because now when we grab the type tool and we click out some area type, it is going to fill with those settings. So I'm just clicking and dragging out the area that I want to fill with type. And you can see that it has filled that area completely. Now that actually is too big for me, so we're going to change it to 14. Actually, let's change it to 12, which is still big for magazine, but we are going to leave it there, and I'm going to put that at 14. So, and yes, I sure have seen those textures before. You have seen these textures before from a past challenge. They're kind of my go-to textures to toss to you guys so we don't have to source them. But yes, they are familiar textures if you haven't seen them before, or if you have seen them before. So we changed our settings, and now you can see that it filled. This looks a little bit better. Now, we want to get into some editorial stuff, so let's play around with this. The first thing that we want to do is we actually want to make this into columns. And this is something you can do in InDesign, and I'm going to tell you about an opportunity to learn InDesign as well, but we can do it here in Illustrator as well. We're going to go to Type, and then we're going to go to Area Type Options. Not a lot of people know this exists, but it's a great panel to help you change the settings in your area type. Now, if we wanted to, check this out. We can change it to columns, which is great, right, for editorial. Looking at some good columns, so we'll start there. But we also can change the rows. So if we want to change it so that there are rows horizontally, we can do that as well. To lay out a little more of maybe a balanced chart or something, you can do that here in Illustrator super easily in the area type options. So we're going to do three different columns here. And the span is going to pull it in from the right. We want it to just go full span. Which I just messed up there. That's fine, we'll leave it. And the gutter is the amount of space in the middle. So maybe we want to change that and then increase the span so that it hits the side. So we've got some tight type, and now it is laid out very well. You can play around with all these different inserts and offsets. We're not going to do that right now. And yes, never clicked on the rows. It's cool. So we're going to hit OK, and we'll notice something that's happening is that we have a little red plus down here. What that means is that there is type that is overlapping what area we have. And yes, this is 100% InDesign style tips. So we are going to click on this little plus right here. Let's zoom in. Get over here, buddy. Come on. Come on. Come on. All right. Hold on. I did something wrong. This is my fault. So we're going to make one more here. Okay, that looks good. We're going to go to type, area type options. It's because I changed the span. It made it weird. So we're going to change this to 3 columns. Boom, boom. Got it. And now we have that red little plus, which is what we want. And we're going to click on that red little plus, and it's going to change our cursor to this little kind of paragraph you can see there. So we're going to line it where we want, and we're going to click, and it will make the same size text box and continue to flow that across. I believe you can also right click here and then change. It is not here. For some reason, I thought it was there. So it's in type and then area type options. We're going to do it to 3 columns as well. So that's looking good right there. We've got 3 columns. We've got 3 columns we're laying out. And if you want to, you also can select all of your area and go to type and fill with placeholder type. And what that will do is it's going to fill in the entire area, and that way we just have type to work with. So it's looking good. Now we want to move on and try some new things. Let's go ahead and work with putting in a title here. So maybe we want a large title. And again, David Carson always did crazy big type. And so maybe we want some crazy letters kind of going across the page. What I'm going to do here is we are going to make some point type by just clicking. And now we have point type. We're going to use S to scale that up. And here maybe I want a little bit more of a kind of modern, big, bulky font. So we're going to click on our filters, and I'm just going to go to a sans serif. And I already see one that I like. I love this Android. That looks cool. So our title, someone just, you can't connect to the type boxes after having them placed. You can. Yes, you can connect. If you have 2 separate boxes, you can connect them as well. Just click on that little red dot. And then if you click on another text box, it will just link to that text box. And because you just typed boxes because you spelled it wrong, we're going to use that as the title of our story. So this is going to get a little bit crazy, but what I'm going to do is I want to break these out into separate letters. And we're going to do some crazy stuff here. So I could do this as 1, but I want to play around and do it as 2. Sorry, do it as separate. There we go, boxes. So what we're going to do is I'm going to kind of drag these around the page where I want them to go. Again, David Carson, all about the craziness. We're breaking grids. We're throwing things at the wall. All kinds of just craziness happening here. Now, what I want to do is let's go ahead and change the size of some of these, get a little bit crazy. Maybe this one's going this way. That looks kind of good to me. All right, what we're going to do is we're going to do a wrap. And a wrap is basically designating a certain area to where the text behind it will not interact. It'll go around it. It will wrap around that object. So what we're going to do is we're going to select all of these little pieces. And I think it's going to work if I select them all. We may need to do it individually. And I'm going to go to Object and then go to Text Wrap and then hit Make. So we're going to make it first. We're going to hit OK. It's going to do all objects. There we go. So now it has wrapped the text around all of these objects. So you can see our story is still there, but there's room around each of these objects because the text is wrapping to make this crazy box. That sounded like it was just like dropping the hottest verse. That was weird. So we're going to go to Object and we're going to go to Text Wrap, and now we're going to mess with the text wrap options a little bit. And inverting is going to make it so that the text only stays within those. So it's going to invert it so the overlapping text will stay, which can get really crazy. We could play around with that. We don't want to right now. But we're going to change the offset, and I just want it to be pretty small. We're actually just going to do 0 so that it's right up against all of those little pieces. And we're going to hit OK. So that's looking good. We're doing some text wrapping. If you also want to text wrap maybe a shape, right? Maybe we want to put some of this graphic in here. What we can do is just grab the pen tool and kind of go around the area. And as we go around the area of this graphic, what we can do is we're actually going to change the blend mode here. And we've talked about blend modes before. We haven't really covered them very much in this kind of section. So what we're going to do is I'm going to make a copy of this, I just Command C and then Command V to paste on top. And we're going to select both of those and just make a clipping mask. And you can see now that we do have two separate shapes. So we have the clipping mask and then we have this shape in the back. Now, what I want to do, actually, we don't need the shape in the back. Check this out. So we made the clipping mask, and now we can just go again to Object, Text Wrap, and Make. And it's going to make it so that that shape is now wrapping around all of this type, right? Making it a little bit more crazy. We're just going to put it right here. Actually, let's put it over here. Yeah, looking crazy. So what we can do here is we are going to change this to multiply. And what's going to happen is it's going to take away all of the white area. So we're going to go to blending modes over here to transparency and change this to multiply. And that's going to make it so, again, it's still wrapping, but because it is over something else that is wrapping, it will not mess up those letters, right? So if two things have a text wrap on them, they will not text wrap each other. And so even though this shape is wrapping the body copy, it's not wrapping these titles here. And something that I like to do is when you're working with type, especially, or when you're working with something that is a blending mode of multiply, instead of making the letters full black 100%, I'll come over here and select everything and I'll change it to just maybe a 95% black. Oops. So that's going to make it a little bit gray. It will still kind of look black to us, but then we start to get these interesting overlaps, and you can really see what multiply is doing. It is pushing down so that it's causing some kind of transparency there. Now, if we wanted to maybe add in something that was, let's say, a call out. I'm making sure that I area type point. Yes, yes, yes. Okay, cool. We have definitely gotten all of the things that I wanted to show you here. So we can continue to mess around with this. It looks like maybe I missed a color. So let's say that someone asked, can you wrap into another text box? Yes. So let's say that we want to do a call out. And again, this is going to be crazy because we're doing David Carson stuff. Let's say that we want to do a call out here, and maybe this call out is literally going to be text on top of text, right? Let's get crazy. So we're going to make a little box here to have a background, and we're going to multiply this box down so that everything is showing through. Then to get really crazy, we are going to grab the type tool and we are going to make a type area right on this red box. So you can see we have this type area on the red box. We can just delete that type because we don't want it. And what we can do is click here and you can see that we have our little red button right here. And it changes to that little arrow, right? So it has the arrow with the little paragraph next to it. And you can see when we hover over that little box that we just made, it's going to come up with a link icon. Let me move over so you can see it a little bit better. There we go. It's going to come over with a link icon. And now, because there's text overlapping, we can click and you can see where it's linking that text between the two. Now, this is looking super crazy, so I am going to go ahead and turn off the multiply on this red one so that we can see it a little bit better. There we go. And then maybe we change this type to white. And you can see that it is still all linked together. And to change the color of that type, we're just going to click on that box. And then we are going to go over to our swatches panel, make sure that we are... What do I want to do here? I want to make it white. There we go. Got it. So now we have some white text sitting on top there. So looking super crazy, but we have learned about text wrapping and we have learned about different area types and point type. Now, I want to spend the last few minutes kind of talking about the challenges in general. I do want you to play around, kind of create what you can with these. And I did inject these textures onto here because sometimes you just need to play with some texture. And so David Carson was all about texture. We didn't get to get as much into texture as I wanted. But you can kind of drop these textures on here, play around with how it looks to add a little bit of craziness, and it will make it very, very interesting. We also could add a text wrap to the texture, but let's not do that. So you can play around with these textures. I was going to show you some more, but we don't have time. So play around, toss the textures on there, and get a little bit crazy. Now, I want to spend the last 5 minutes telling you about something that you can do and that I want you to do. And if you were here on the first day of the challenge, you should have done this. This was the first day of the challenge. Is we made a draft in our Behance profile. So we made a draft of a project in our Behance profile. Excuse me. And we didn't get very far on it, but I can click on edit project from that draft that I had created. And I have an area so that I can start putting in my projects. So I'm actually going to use the example from one of the past projects just because it's easier and we have a better layout here. So we started to lay out maybe some type. We started to lay out where we could put projects. And what I want you to do, and textures are where you came for. I'm so sorry. I promise we'll cover in another one. What you can do here is you can upload your daily creative challenges all to one Behance project and then post it. And when you post, make sure that you go to settings and you type in AI daily challenge in the projects tab. And then there's a chance for you to get featured. One more thing that I want to tell you about, and that is going to our show that's happening today. If you want to learn more about this, we're actually going to be doing a little masterclass in InDesign today, office hours at 2:30 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. We're starting a new season for Adobe Office Hours, and today we are back to school starting with journalism. So all that we're doing today, we're going to do again, except in InDesign. So I'm going to show you how to do type hierarchy, how to do all of the columns, all of your layout for a journalism class in InDesign. So again, double journalism day. That's what you want. All right, I'm gonna hop back in and get textures until I get cut off. Straight up, we're just doing it. So what I wanna do with this is maybe I wanna use this texture and I wanna create an opacity mask so that some of the type is getting knocked out. Now, what we can do is we're going to keep this texture black and we are just gonna make a giant box over this and make that box white. Actually, let's do it opposite so that you guys can see. So I'm gonna send this to the back. And then we are going to go ahead and make the texture white. So you can see the texture is white on there and it has to be black and white. So we're going to grab both of these and we have to have them grouped together. So we grouped and now we're going to drop this over the entirety of our artboard. And this is where it's going to get crazy. We're just going to make sure we bring that to the front. And we're going to click and drag this over the whole thing. Now you have to make sure that the texture is in front. You have to make sure that the texture is in black and white, and you have to make sure that the texture is grouped with something that is behind it, a background. So it needs to be black and white on the background. Now, check it out. Here's what you can do. We're going to select literally everything on our artboard, and we're going to use a texture called subtractive texture. It's non-destructive subtractive texture. We're going to go to transparency and hit make mask. And we have everything selected with the texture on top and grouped, and watch. So it has now made everything into the texture, but it's getting the wrong part, right? Everything that was white on our texture is showing through. Everything that was black is getting knocked out, and we want that to be the opposite. So we can click on invert mask here. And now you can see that it has inverted that mask and everything that is white is now showing through. Now we can click on this and you can see over here that we can select and change the type and all of the layout. But we also can come over here and click on the texture and we can change up this texture. So maybe we want to do a little bit more of the texture kind of coming in this way. And you can see we're literally just editing and making copies and it's starting to put more texture on there, which is what we want. And maybe we want one like going this way, put a little more texture over on that side, and that looks good. Then we can simply go back and click on the thumbnail over here, and that will give us, again, to be able to come in here and start editing the type. Maybe we want a little bit less here. We can still edit that, and it will actually keep all of the texture there. So maybe instead of boxes, we want to say boxed. If we add that letter in there, it's going to keep that letter. Everything is wrapping and the texture is, again, non-destructive. So everything is just playing around with each other. I know I covered that super fast, but I wanted to make sure that we got it in there really, really quick. You can go back and watch the replay if you missed it or got a little bit lost there. I know we covered a ton today. So I want to see you at 2:30 p.m. Pacific Standard Time today for Adobe Office Hours. We will be doing a lot of this journalism work in InDesign, kind of giving you a little class in that. Thanks so much for joining me, y'all. It's been so much fun over the last 2 weeks. I've had a blast. Thank you for traveling through time. And now we are back home in our own time, just hanging out together. So it's always my favorite thing when I get to do these challenges and hang out with you. If you want to, watch the creative replays for the next 2 weeks. And I will see you again at 2:30 for another episode of Adobe Office Hours. And I'll see you a little bit later this year for another set of daily creative challenges. Bye, everyone.